You may have seen the movie called A Scanner Darkly with Keanu Reeves. It has a cartoon-like effect on the actual footage of the actors. You can simulate that effect in After Effects, although not as cleanly as that movie, at least as far as I can tell, by applying something called the cartoon effect. And as you can see here, I have some footage of some shrimp that I cooked when I was making a paella. First time ever making that, and I'm still full, and that was months ago. So what I'm going to do is go to my Effects and Presets panel and do a search for cartoon. Now, by the way, if you don't see this panel, you can always go to the window menu and then choose Effects and Presets. The beauty of that panel is that you don't have to scroll through every single category here to try to find what you're looking for. Just start typing a few letters and then it will eventually narrow the list down. And there we go. Cartoon. What I'm going to do is simply click and drag this right on top of this footage and let go of my mouse. Right away, we can see that the shrimps now have some kind of black outline on them, so they look a little bit more cartoony. And this effect works very, very quickly. You would think that you'd have to do a lot of rendering, but it works as soon as you drop it onto your footage. And as you can see, even the pots and pans have the effect applied to it. What I'm going to do is also just expand this a little bit so we can focus on this effect more. When you apply the cartoon effect, there are two main areas that you want to focus on. The inside, which is your fill, and the edge, which is the black line. If you look over here at our effects controls, we see that we can choose to render the fill and edges as we have here, or you can click here and choose only the edges, which gives you a nice black and white effect. And let me go ahead and scrub that for you. Or you can choose just the fill. And when you choose the fill, you get this nice painterly feel to the artwork. So it depends on what you want to achieve with this effect. Let me also just zoom out just a little bit more so we can see it more clearly. Once again, here's the edges. And I'll go ahead and hit my space bar so we can actually get a good preview of this. This effect, by the way, is really going to be handy, especially for people who want to do graphic novels. Let's say you take some footage of your friends and you're all acting like superheroes and you want it to look like a comic book. You can bring it into After Effects and apply this effect to it and make a black and white comic book, or one that has a fill and the edges, and just have to modify the outline to get a better feel for what you're trying to achieve. So that brings me to the rest of these dials here. We have our detail radius and our detail threshold that we can use these sliders to change. So currently it's on 8, and you can also twirl these open to use the slider instead. So I'll go ahead and put the detail radius all the way down as well as the threshold. And you notice that the black line starts to change a little bit. Let's go all the way to 100% and 100% here. Now you can see the difference. When you change the radius of that detail, it's going to expand and give you a very abstract look. But once again, it plays back in real time. So if you want to go for something very abstract and painterly, that's the way to go. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back to where it was, around 8. And you can always click reset if you go too far, which I typically do. I never remember what number I was on. So now that we talked about the basics of how to use this, let's then talk about how we can further refine this effect and even build upon it by adding an effect on top of the cartoon effect.